My name's Jack Miller, and for a long time, I believed that the worst thing about working nights was the silence. I was wrong. It's not the silence that gets you. It's what hides inside it. I used to work for a 24-hour emergency dispatch center in downtown Chicago. Not 911, but one of those private hotlines companies outsource for emergency calls, broken security systems, car alarms, late-night panic buttons. Most nights it was dull work. Coffee, cold pizza, and static on the headsets. My shift ran from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., the graveyard shift. They called it that as a joke. At least, it used to be. I've been doing it for almost 3 years. I knew every sound the office made. The low hum of fluorescent lights, the clack of keyboards from 2 desks away, the buzz of vending machines that always seemed to cough when the building's heat kicked in. We were a skeleton crew. 4 people in a room meant for 20. My supervisor, Linda, sat in a glass office at the back, mostly half asleep, pretending to go over paperwork. Across from me was Devin, the kind of guy who never took his earbuds out. And in the far corner sat Maria, always chewing gum, always reading crime novels. It was a normal Tuesday night. February. Snow pressed up against the windows like ash on glass. The city felt frozen, empty, like everyone else in the world had gone to sleep and forgotten we existed. At 1:13 a.m., the phone rang. I remember it because it startled me. Most of the night, our board stayed green. No calls, no alerts. But this one blinked red. Dispatch center, this is Jack speaking. How can I help you? There was a pause. Not static breathing. Faint, but there. Hello. I said again, glancing at the call, Idaho. The number was blocked. Then a woman's voice came through, soft, shaky. He's in my house. I straightened in my chair instantly. Ma'am, this is a private security line. Can you confirm your location? He's in my house, she repeated, almost whispering. I can see a shadow under the door. My stomach sank. It wasn't the first time we got in distress calls, but the tone, something about her voice, made my skin crawl. Okay, stay calm. What's your name? I asked, typing. Emily. Emily, are you somewhere safe right now? I'm in the bathroom. He doesn't know I'm in here. Do you know who it is? No, she whispered. He just knocked. And then I saw the handle move. I started the process, logged her as a home intrusion, flagged it to local police dispatch, and opened the GPS panel. But when I entered the number, it gave me nothing. No trace. No linked address. Emily, do you have an address? I need to send the police. She hesitated. I heard her breathing faster. I don't know. I just woke up. Ma'am, I need your location. I repeated, a bit firmer. Look around. Do you see a window, a street sign, a mailbox? Wait, she gasped. He's opening the door. There was a sound then, a soft click like a latch turning, followed by a stifled cry. I stood up, pressing the headset tighter. Emily, nothing. Just static. Then the line cut. The board light turned green again. I flagged it as a lost connection, wrote a report, and notified Linda. She skimmed it, shrugged, said, probably a prank. You'd be surprised how many of those we get. But it didn't feel like a prank. I couldn't shake her voice. The fear sounded real, too real. I tried calling the number back, but the system told me, this number does not exist. For the rest of the night, I kept glancing at the board, waiting for another red light. None came. When I clocked out at 6, snow was still falling. The streets were pale and silent. On the way home, I replayed the call in my head. Every word, every breath, that tiny sound of the latch turning. And then I realized something that made me stop walking. She never told me her last name. But when I asked her for it, just before the line cut, I thought she started to say, Miller, my name. I didn't sleep that morning. The apartment felt colder than usual. My heater made a soft, clunking noise like it was struggling to stay alive. I sat in the kitchen, staring at my laptop, searching local news for break-ins. Nothing. No mention of any woman named Emily. No reports of a home invasion in Chicago that night. So I told myself it was stress. Long hours. Too much caffeine. I was hearing things. But then, 2 nights later, it happened again. Same time. Same block number. Dispatch center, this is Jack. He's outside again. It was her voice. Emily's. I froze. Emily. Yes, she whispered. He came back. Please. You have to help me. Where are you calling from? I demanded. I couldn't trace your last call. Silence. Then, why didn't you send anyone last time? My pulse jumped. We tried, but you hung up. I didn't have an address. I told you, she said softly. He was inside. Her tone was different now. Calmer, like she wasn't whispering for help anymore. Emily, where are you right now? Do you know what he looks like, Jack? She asked. Her voice was trembling, but she said my name, Jack. I hadn't told her. How do you know my name? I asked quietly. You said it, she replied. That night, you said, stay calm, Emily. My name is Jack. I felt a chill crawl up my neck. She was right. I had said that. Okay, I said carefully. Emily, I want to help you, but I need to know your location. What city are you in? Another pause. Then, softly, you know where I am. And the line went dead again. I didn't log that one. I just sat there for a while, staring at my computer screen, my fingers hovering above the keyboard. Devin glanced over and said, "You good, man? You look like you saw a ghost." Yeah, I said, just a long call. That night, I didn't even try to sleep. I stayed up until sunrise, replaying the recording from the system, but when I tried to access the audio, it was gone. The file showed corrupted or missing. The next night, I brought it up to Linda. She sighed and said, "Jack, you need some rest. Take tomorrow off. Maybe see someone." That's when I realized I'd started to tremble every time the phone rang. I should have quit right then, but I didn't, because the following week, something arrived at the dispatch office. A small padded envelope. No return address. It was addressed to Jack Miller, night shift. Inside was a USB drive. Linda thought it was company data or some update from IT. She tossed it on my desk and said, "Plug it in if you want. Just don't crash the system." When I opened it, there was only one file inside. File folder call underscore recording underscore 02 dash 13 dash 24.wave. That was the night Emily first called. I hesitated, then hit play. Static, breathing. Then a woman's voice, soft, trembling. "He's in my house." It was the same recording. Exactly the same. But then, halfway through something new, a second voice. Low male. Calm. Whispering right behind her. "She told you not to look for her, Jack." When I heard that whisper, "She told you not to look for her, Jack," I yanked my headphones off so hard they clattered against the desk. The office was empty. Linda had left early. Maria was gone. Devin's chair was still spinning from when he'd clocked out 20 minutes before. The fluorescent lights above hummed with that soft, insect-like buzz. I replayed the file. The same whisper. Same spot. Same tone. The voice wasn't on the live call that night. I was sure of it. I checked the waveform visually on the screen. The voice didn't look edited in. No cuts, no splice marks, no volume spikes. It was part of the recording, seamless. I leaned closer, volume low, heart pounding. "She told you not to look for her, Jack." Then silence. I scrolled the file forward, but the rest was empty. Just static and a long, slow fade out. That was the night I started recording every single call on my own flash drive. The next morning, I told myself not to panic. Rationalize. That's what you do when things stop making sense. Maybe someone was screwing with me. Devin loved pranks. Or maybe it was a corrupted file that pulled old audio from another recording. I'd seen that happen once or twice. But then I noticed the timestamp on the file name. February 13th, 24. That was the same night Emily had called, except the system had purged that file from the official database days ago. So who the hell had the original? I went home after my shift, the USB drive in my pocket. Snow still lined the sidewalks, the sky a dull, iron gray. Chicago in February always felt like a photograph, still colorless, dead. I lived in a small apartment above a laundromat in Logan Square. My neighbors were quiet, which I liked. That morning, I made coffee, sat on my couch, and stared at the USB sitting on the table. Curiosity won. I opened it again, listened one more time, and that's when I noticed something else, faint behind the whisper. A sound that didn't belong. It was rhythmic, metallic, like wheels over tracks. A train. I didn't remember hearing a train that night. The nearest station from our dispatch office was at least 3 blocks away. You'd barely hear it from inside, but in the recording, it was clear as day. So that afternoon, I pulled up a map of the CTA rail lines, cross-referenced which ones ran near private residences. I don't know why. Maybe because my brain needed something to solve. If Emily had been near a train that loud, she had to be close to the Red Line, maybe South Side, maybe near Englewood. I wasn't supposed to investigate personal calls. But I told myself I wasn't doing this for her. I was doing it for my sanity. The next night, I came in early, around 9:30. Linda wasn't there yet. Devin was microwaving noodles, humming to himself. I logged into the system and opened our call archives. I searched for any other calls from block numbers in the last 30 days. There were 7, all listed as no trace, all flag caller disconnected. The oldest one? 3 months before I ever started at the company. And every single one was handled by the same operator. Operator ID, JM012. That was my ID, except 3 of those calls were from before I was even hired. At 1:07 a.m., the phone rang again. Blocked number. I didn't want to answer. Every instinct screamed at me not to, but my hand moved on its own. Dispatch center, this is Jack. Silence. Then, you shouldn't have listened to it. My heart dropped into my stomach. Who is this? The voice was male this time. Calm, deep, slow. You weren't supposed to hear her again. How did you get this number? I snapped. You kept the file. My throat went dry. What do you want? Want? The voice chuckled softly. I don't want anything, Jack. You do. What are you talking about? You called her name, he said. When she stopped breathing, I froze. What did you say? You said her name. Twice. I slammed the disconnect button. The board flicked green, but for a split second, I swore I saw something on the monitor. Incoming number. My own cell number. That was it. I logged out. Told Linda I was sick and went home early. But the feeling followed me. The silence in the apartment wasn't silence anymore. I could feel the weight of sound behind it, like something was waiting to speak. At around 3 a.m., I went to the bathroom to splash cold water on my face. When I looked up into the mirror, my phone buzzed on the sink. Unknown number. I shouldn't have answered, but I did. Jack. It was her. Emily. Her voice sounded different, weaker, distant, like she was underwater. Emily, where are you? She didn't answer right away. I could hear wind. Maybe traffic. Then why didn't you help me? My knees went weak. I tried. I couldn't find you. You heard him, she said. Didn't you? Who? The man. On the call. He told you not to look. Her voice trembled. He's here, Jack. Emily, listen to me. Do you remember what you said to me? She interrupted. I swallowed hard. I said to stay calm. No, she whispered. After that, I closed my eyes. I didn't remember saying anything else. You said, her voice cracked, I'll find you. And then she hung up. I sat there, staring at the phone. The screen still glowed faintly in the dark. I checked my call log. No number. No duration. Just nothing. I turned on my laptop, opened the audio logs from that night's calls. The system froze, then rebooted. When it came back online, every file on my USB drive was gone. Except one. File folder audio_03-03-24.wave. I didn't name that file. The date was 3 days from now. I didn't go to work the next night. I told Linda I had the flu. She texted back, take a week. You've been off lately. The truth? I hadn't left my apartment at all. Every time I tried to sleep, I'd hear the faint buzz of my headset in the dark. Phantom sound, like muscle memory of fear. On the third night, at exactly 1:13 a.m., the power flickered. My computer woke up by itself. The same file, audio_03-03-24.wave, opened automatically. Static, then breathing, then my own voice. Dispatch center, this is Jack speaking. How can I help you? Then a pause, and a woman's voice, he's in my house. My stomach turned cold. It was the same first call, word for word. Except at the end, right before the line cut, my recorded voice said something I never said. Stay calm, Emily. Don't move. I'm almost there. By the time dawn bled through the blinds, I'd stopped pretending I could explain it. That file, the one dated 3 days in the future, wasn't some glitch. It was proof that something was watching me work before I even did. I sat at the kitchen table, mug in both hands, trying to make sense of my own voice on that recording. I'm almost there. Those words looped through my head until they lost shape until I wasn't sure if I'd ever really said them. I needed answers, and the only place I could look was the office. I showed up early that night, long before Linda or anyone else. The building was dark except for the blue security lights and the faint hum of servers in the back room. My key card beeped, the heavy door clicked, and the sound echoed through the empty hall like a gunshot. Every time I entered that room now, it felt smaller, like the walls were folding in, following the shape of my fear. I plugged the flash drive into my workstation again. Empty. The file was gone, but the system log said otherwise. File accessed 3:12 a.m. User JM012. I hadn't been here at 3 a.m. At 3 a.m., I'd been sitting on my couch, staring at my phone. So who the hell had logged in as me? There's an admin terminal hidden behind Linda's desk. Nobody uses it except IT. I'd fixed enough minor bugs to know the password pattern. It took 3 tries. The logbook opened. Every call, every user, every timestamp. I filtered for Emily. 4 hits. The oldest was November 7th, 2018. 6 years before I started the job. The operator ID on that call? JM012. My hands went numb on the keyboard. I opened the audio file. The same trembling voice. He's in my house. Different tone, less panic, younger maybe, but unmistakably her. Then my own voice, buried in static. Stay calm, Emily. Don't move. I'm almost there. It was the same line, word for word, 6 years before I ever existed in their system. The personnel directory listed everyone who'd ever used this terminal. Scrolling down through pages of gray text, I stopped when I saw it. Employee name, Jack Miller. Start date, March 2017. Termination, February 13th, 2018. Status, deceased, self-inflicted gunshot wound, on site. The screen blurred. I read it again and again, waiting for the letters to rearrange themselves into something sane. But they didn't. There was even a scanned newspaper clipping attached. Local dispatcher found dead in downtown office. Authorities say no foul play. I was shaking. Same name. Same ID. My ID. Someone was dead under my name. And somehow, the system never flagged it. When Linda arrived around 10, I was still staring at the monitor. Jack, you look pale, she said, hanging her coat. Linda, how long have you known me? I asked. She frowned. What kind of question is that? Just answer. When did I start here? She hesitated. 2 years ago, maybe 3. 2017? No. You came last spring. After Jason quit. Jason, not Jack. You sure? I asked quietly. She laughed nervously. You're really freaking me out, Jack. When she said my name, something in the way her lips moved, like she wasn't convinced that's what it was, made my stomach twist. I left work early again, couldn't breathe in that room. Wind sliced down the streets, rattling bus stops and paper cups. I kept walking, past Halstead, past the frozen river, until I found myself standing under the L train tracks, the same metallic rhythm I'd heard behind Emily's call. That sound, it was identical. The steel screamed overhead as a train thundered by, shaking the streetlights. For a moment, I thought I saw her reflection in one of the windows, pale face, wide eyes, but the cars passed too fast to be sure. Across the street, a payphone hung crooked on the wall of a boarded-up shop. It started ringing. 3 short chimes. Pause. 3 again. Nobody else was around. I crossed over slowly, snow crunching under my boots. The phone kept ringing. I lifted the receiver. Hello. Static. Then a man's voice, same low, calm tone as before. You almost found her. Who are you? I demanded. Look down. I glanced at the base of the payphone. Taped there, half covered in slush, was a photo. A woman, mid-30s, brown hair, standing in front of the house with a white porch. Scrawled on the back in blue ink. Emily Ward, 510, West 87th Street. When I looked up, the line was dead. The house. It was nearly 2 a.m. when I reached 87th Street. Rows of old frame houses stood silent under the snow. Streetlights blinked like they were fighting to stay awake. Number 510 sat behind an overgrown hedge, dark except for one upstairs window, glowing faintly yellow. I told myself I just needed to see it. just to prove it was real. Then I'd go home. The gate creaked when I pushed it open. Footsteps crunched. No movement inside. On the porch, the door was slightly ajar. A narrow crack of darkness. Cold air seeped out, carrying a faint metallic smell, rust or blood. I stepped inside. The air was heavy still. Wallpaper peeled in thin curls. A clock ticked somewhere deep in the house, uneven, like a heart missing beats. "Emily," I called. Nothing. The living room looked frozen in time. Dust on the furniture, a half-drunk cup of tea gone moldy. Photos on the wall, a man, a woman, a child. One photo had been torn in half. The missing piece was the woman's face. Then I heard it. The phone, ringing from upstairs. Each step groaned under my weight. The ringing grew louder, more distorted. It wasn't a cell phone. Too sharp, too mechanical. At the top of the stairs, a door stood half open, light spilling from within. Inside, a small bedroom. The phone sat on a desk, old rotary style, spinning slightly with each chime. I lifted the receiver. "Dispatch center, this is Jack," I said automatically, and the voice that answered was mine. "Stay calm, Emily. Don't move. I'm almost there." Then the line went silent. The clock downstairs stopped ticking. I looked at the window. For a heartbeat, the reflection staring back at me wasn't me. It was her. The same woman from the photo. Mouth open, eyes wide. And behind her, in the reflection, someone standing in the doorway. I ran. Down the stairs, through the kitchen, to the back door, locked from the outside. Every knob I touched burned cold. Then, from below, a single creak. Basement steps. I shouldn't have gone down there. But I did. The air smelled of iron and dust. Light flickered from a single bulb, swinging on its wire. In the center of the concrete floor sat an old call center headset, the same model we used. Next to it, a bloodstained employee badge. "Jack Miller, Operator JM012. I picked it up. The photo on the badge wasn't mine. It was someone else. Older, but the face looked almost identical. That's when the bulb went out. In the dark, the phone upstairs started ringing again, and a whisper filled the basement right behind me. "She told you not to look for her, Jack." For a long time, I didn't move. The whisper still hung in the air, even though the basement was dead silent. I stood there, gripping the badge, cold sweat running down my spine. "She told you not to look for her." The voice had been right behind me. A man's voice, steady, quiet, like someone who didn't need to shout to be heard. When I turned, the light flickered once, just enough to show the outline of a figure at the bottom of the stairs. A man in a headset, wearing my uniform. Then darkness again. The bulb hissed, buzzed, and blinked back to life. And he was gone. I don't even remember leaving the house. I just remember the cold hitting me, so hard it burned. Snow hammered the windshield as I drove, tires skidding on the ice. Every streetlight looked the same. Every turn led back to the same empty intersection. No cars, no people, just the endless hum of the storm. Then, through the static of my radio, a voice came through. Not music, dispatch frequency. Unit 12, we've got a 10 to 54 at 510 West 87th. Female deceased. Caller identified as. The transmission crackled. Then softly, "Jack Miller." I slammed the radio off, heart pounding. But the voice kept speaking, faintly, underneath the static. "You shouldn't have answered." When I finally reached home, it was 4:22 a.m. The hallway outside my apartment smelled faintly of cigarette smoke. My neighbors never smoked. The door was open, just slightly. Inside, everything looked normal. Too normal. The dishes were where I'd left them, the lamp still buzzing. But the phone, the landline I never used, was off the hook, swinging gently on its cord. The dial tone pulsed like a heartbeat. I picked it up. "Hello." Static again. Then my own voice came through, calmer this time, softer. "You're almost there." Then silence. The line clicked, and the dial tone died. My laptop was open on the table. A new file sat on the desktop. Call_recording_510.wave. It hadn't been there before I left. When I opened it, there was video, not audio. The feed came from the dispatch center security camera, time-stamped tomorrow night. It showed me sitting at my desk, headset on, talking to someone unseen. At first, I thought it was a loop, but then the version of me in the video looked up. straight into the camera. You found the house. He smiled. Now you finish it. Then the feed cut to black. A knock came at the door. 3 short taps. Pause. 3 more. The same rhythm as that payphone ring. When I looked through the peephole, no one was there. Just the hallway, empty and still. I turned back and froze. Someone was sitting on my couch. A woman. Her hair was soaked, her hands trembling. She looked up slowly, eyes hollow and wet. Emily. Her lips moved. You heard me, didn't you? I tried to help. She shook her head, whispering. You were never supposed to answer. The phone rang again. The sound filled the room like a scream. Emily stood, backing toward the door. Once you hear it, she said, you take the call forever. Then she was gone. Just gone. I stared at the phone. It rang again, and again. Each ring deeper, heavier, like it was vibrating inside my chest. When I finally picked it up, the voice on the other end was, Mine. Dispatch Center, this is Jack. But this time, I heard another line playing underneath it, recorded, overlapping, like 2 versions of me talking over each other from different times. There's been an accident. Where are you? At 510 West 87th. Who's the victim? Emily Ward. Who's the suspect? Silence. Then both voices, mine, answered together. Jack Miller. The line went dead. The next morning, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. When I answered, it wasn't a voice, just a recording. Thank you for applying to the City Emergency Dispatch Center. Your start date is March 17th, 2017. Your operator ID will be JM012. I looked around. The apartment was gone. The walls, bare white panels. Desk, chair, headset. The hum of computers. I was back in the dispatch center. The monitors lit up one by one, lines blinking green. Linda's voice crackled through my headset. Morning, Jack. You ready for your first night? And somewhere, through the static, a woman's voice whispered. He's in my house. The system timer blinked. 3:12 a.m. The call log updated automatically. Call number 001, operator JM012, status, active. And once again, I said the words that had trapped me here forever. Stay calm, Emily. Don't move. I'm almost there.